Oh my god. Microphone. No, it's
Here's Heidi.
You can do that with the small rooms so you don't have to drive.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
I left my AirPods.
Where, JC? Oh, you have them.
Where? Oh, it's my
How's everyone's day going?
I miss so
I'm good.
Busy.
Have you seen people like do stuff on like TikTok that'll be like pranks on their teacher? Like this one guy got like kidnapped by his roommate and stuff, and the teacher was like, "Oh my god." One time my teacher like, I just left her here, like I shut her off. Yeah. So mad.
I love that people don't know about mute yet.
Oh, here I turned it on. I was like, what? Like, what do you want? I'm listening.
I was just gonna say, maybe hit the mute button before you're on air saying things.
That is so funny. No.
Yeah, I'm currently in my room right now with like my brother's like painting outside.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Bye, guys. Bye.
Cho nó nói để biết action mình.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Carrie Willigan. I'm the Assistant Dean of Services for the Business School, and we're excited that you're here. I'm going to ask to make sure everybody knows to mute their microphones so we can hear you talking to your roommates and whatnot. We have a really exciting panel here, and I want to let you know that if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and let's keep our questions professional and focused on the greater good of everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our faculty moderator. And again, welcome, and thank you very much to our wonderful panelists for joining us today.
Well, let me echo Carrie's thoughts. My name is Gautam Vatkepat. I'm a professor, assistant professor of marketing at George Mason School of Business. And I teach marketing analytics at Mason, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. And so I'm delighted to moderate this panel on marketing and digital analytics. And we have 4 really wonderful panelists who are going to share their experiences with us. My job is to keep quiet and just to ask a few questions to get us off rolling. And hopefully all of you who are listening can ask questions pertinent to your careers as the points arise. So my thought was we can go around the room and kind of each of the panelists can introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with Monica and then Shante, and Carla, and then Heidi. If the 4 of you can introduce yourselves in that order, just give us a brief background of, how you got to where you are, what was the journey like, and so forth.
Hi, so this is Monica Jansen. Someone turned off my video and I can't turn it back on. So you just see me as MC Jansen. Oh, Caleb's working on it. Okay, cool. I messaged with Caleb and Carrie. Oh, here we go. Okay, now you get to see me. It's kind of weird talking into a void,
There she is.
So I own Jansen Communications. We're a small content marketing agency, which means we're basically copywriters and marketers. So anything that has to do with marketing, we write it. And let's see, Janssen Communications is like 12 years old. I founded it because I hate working for other people. And I started as a solopreneur and I grew it into a small agency. So there's five of us, six of us on the team now. What else was I supposed to say anything else?
I think this is good to start, and
Okay.
then we can just get into the history, the next set of questions.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Shante, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Shante Barber. I am a graduate of George Mason University with a Bachelor of Science degree in marketing. I currently work for the U.S. General Service Administration, which is the federal government, and I do marketing analytics, marketing research, let's say. I first started off as a contracting specialist, then moved over to communications, and then I moved over to research. I think as a marketing professional, it's good to have both those sides. You have the sides of the communication, public relations, and now I'm working with numbers. The part I like about working with numbers is that I'm telling a story. I'm using the data is being used for senior leadership to help with their strategic planning. So marketing is like part of me. I enjoy it. I also teach at George Mason. I teach Business 103, and I am so excited to see some of my students on this line. So thank you so much for all my students who are online right now. So thank you.
That's awesome. Listen, Carla, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this panel. My name is Carla Briseño, and I am one of the co-founders and the CEO from a company called Bixel. Bixel is headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia. We are a growing woman-owned small business, and we provide services to the federal government all across the spectrum, very much like an agency, communication, marketing communications, human-centered design. We have a data analytics group, learning design, and technology. So we're based in Fairfax, but these days we're actually becoming more of a distributed team. So, but right there in Fairfax, close by. And we have lots of George Mason alumni working with us.
Excellent. So you're basically based on Zoom nowadays, right? Is what you're saying. Most of it is through Zoom.
Microsoft Teams is.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah,
there you go.
Microsoft Teams.
Heidi, would you like to kick us off as well? Heidi, I don't think we can hear you.
Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Sorry about that. For some reason, for Zoom, I have to use these. So I graduated from George Mason. My name is Heidi Oleska. Graduated in 1986. And I now have my own agency. It's a brand development and marketing agency. It's called Vintage Juice, brand development and marketing that bears fruit for their clients. And mostly on the design side of, logo, website, and I write a lot of content, and then ongoing marketing for my clients as well.
Most of our audience is students, right? So I want to kind of get you're seasoned experts now. Kind of for the first question, walk us through the journey. Like, what made you choose marketing as a career? And what is your perspective of the skills that makes for a successful marketing person, be it in the digital space, be it in analytics? So 2 questions. How did you get to where you are, and what skills do you think you look for? You're all business owners and work for big companies or government agencies, right? So what are the skills that you look for in your employees? And maybe we'll start backwards this time. Heidi, since I'm looking at you, maybe you can kick this question off.
Sure. So I worked in a lot of different jobs, like through college and getting up to this. So, but there was always that I love creativity. So that was a big part of what drew me to marketing, and just looking at advertising on TV. And my mind, I was like, oh, that could be so much better this way or so much better that way. And so I started working at an ad agency in San Francisco, started as an office manager and worked my way up, and then worked at different types of agencies. That was a promotional agency, and then a brand agency, branding, and then a pure advertising agency. So then, I believe it was it Michelle Jansen? I enjoyed working by myself. So I was like, I can do this better myself. So I started my own agency, and with more of a focus on developing brands and creative marketing ideas. So I wish your class was available when I was at George Mason in analytics. Skills I look for, creativity, problem solving, the ability to not like just ask lots of questions, but say, there's an issue, here's a solution. And because I'm more on the creative writing, and don't want to be the analytical person, someone that's talented in analytics to help me out with that side of the business.
Excellent. So, all right, Carla, would you like to share your journey and what you look for in people you recruit?
Okay, well, it's kind of a weird journey to kind of a interesting path, but I served as a Peace Corps volunteer many years ago, went in post Peace Corps into the world of international development, and then in the year 2000, decided that I needed a career that would have me at home more often. So I decided that I was going to become actually a hardcore programmer. I went through a technology training program and thought that I really wanted to go into heavy programming. So I took this course, and then I ended up combining my skills, my language skills, my project management skills, and my newfound technology skills. I couldn't stay in a cubicle long enough to get really, really good at pounding code. I kept getting pulled out to manage projects and work on things. I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala, and so I had Spanish. Ended up just before deciding to jump with my husband to start building our business, working on Sprint's Spanish language web presence, managing projects there. So it's really quite the convoluted and strange journey, I will say. But that's like a really, I think, important point that I want to share with all of the students on this line, that to not so much worry about having the perfect journey, that you can always build on what experiences that you've had during the course of your trajectory. Because today, as the owner of a company that's of about 155 people, the experience that I gained working in international development, directing nonprofit programs, working in marketing, communications, outreach, using my Spanish skills, etc. All of those experiences have enriched my ability to grow a business and lead a team. So just key point there, that your trajectory doesn't have to be, perfect, to draw upon those experiences that you end up taking advantage of.
Well, thank you. That was actually the point.
So in terms of the types of people that...
Go ahead, Carla.
Okay. No, just strong writers with strong analysis skills. Highly recommended in terms of the type of people that we look for marketing and analytics roles. For analytics roles in particular, the ability to look at the data and really be able to tell a story. And so even for analytics, our analytics folks, being able to, taking courses and to develop strong writing skills for storytelling, very, very useful. I actually can touch base with a young man who works with us. He does SEO and digital analytics, and he also suggested taking courses in statistics, possibly computer science, because more and more when you're working with Google Tag Manager and such, having some code expertise, HTML and et cetera, can be very useful. And statistics, although you don't have to prove trends with using a p-value, being able to understand and enough statistics to be able to understand trends and substantiate them, very useful.
Excellent. Thank you, Carla. Shante, your thoughts?
So I guess I just want to expand upon, definitely I agree with what Carla said. And basically, once again, I'm a graduate of George Mason. And how I got to where I'm at is I first started off, as I mentioned, as a contracting specialist. I just wanted a job. I didn't want to go back to my hometown after I graduated. So I was going to take any job right after college just so I can stay in the area. And the door opened for me to work for the federal government as a contracting specialist. Never understood it. I didn't never realize what contracting was. But the key was I took the job and I network. And that's why I always emphasize, even to my students, it's networking. I knew I wanted to get back into marketing. Now, here's the caveat. We cannot say marketing in the federal government. We always say outreach or communication. So I network with people in our outreach and communication team. And once I got the door open for me to do that, it was communication. I was learning doing websites, doing marketing plans, stuff like that. But I always have this drive, I wanted to work with numbers. So networking with someone on the research side, I was able to go on that side to learn more about marketing research and data analytics. The one skill that the couple of skills that people can really use in marketing as a whole, not just marketing analytics, but as a whole, is definitely using the knowledge and the concepts that you learn through your degrees. Yes, I do use that in my job, but it's also the people skills. It's the soft skills, professional skills that you're also going to use. So that's your communication, that is networking, problem solving, as Heidi mentioned, and also critical thinking, which is really important, because what we see and what I see, especially with my interns and stuff, is the drive. Is, do you have the determination to move forward? It's all about learning new stuff. When I graduated from Mason, social media was not popular. I think we only had one platform that was American, the AOL or so, and MySpace. We did not have Facebook. We didn't have none of this marketing platform or social media platform. And now look at it now, right? It's been 25 years, right? And now look at it now. So that's the key, is you have to stay up to date. Oh, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but marketing always changes. So you have to stay up to date and you're in that field. So I see the drive. So what I see is the drive in people to they want to learn and they want to help. And Heidi was saying, you don't come with a problem, you have the solution, and always finding ways to help improve your organization. One of my best mentor mentioned to me is maybe your boss never mentioned there's a problem, or they didn't articulate, hey, we have this problem, but be that thought thinker, use your critical thinking. Okay, I see this that's going on. How can I help solve this for my agency or for my organization? That goes a long way.
Excellent. Thank you, Shante. And Monica, can you share your perspectives as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm sitting here just nodding along as Heidi, Carla, and then Shante were talking. So yes, everything that they said. like, you know, Carla was talking about how her, you know, her route, her journey to where she is now was very convoluted. Mine was as well. I graduated with a marketing degree in 1997, which was, yes, like a zillion years ago. There were, according to my children, there were still dinosaurs roaming the earth, you know, and there was no social media. People were just starting to email. That's how long ago it was. Anyway, I graduated into an economy, not as horrible as it is right now, but there weren't a lot of jobs. So I ended up just kind of bouncing around in my 20s. I was very, very lost. I didn't find my place in marketing, in the career that I wanted, until I was in my late 20s. So don't be afraid. You know, Shantae was saying as well, like she took a job, and you're going to learn no matter what, even if it's not the right place for you. And networking, yes, yes, yes. That's how I've built my company. I bet it's the same for Heidi, and I bet it's the same for Carla. We've built our companies through our networks. It's all about, you know, maintaining connections. I love when people, anyone who's on here can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love meeting people. I love answering your questions. You know, we're resources, so use us. Anyway, I'm getting off the question, sorry. So, so skills needed. I just want to emphasize, I'm not going to add to what anyone else said, but I want to emphasize those emotional intelligence skills that Shantae brought up. You can teach someone hard skills. You can teach someone how to program. You can teach someone how to improve their writing. You can teach someone how to analyze data and come to conclusions. But it's so much harder to teach self-awareness, awareness of others. It's hard to teach people empathy and compassion. I wish we could, especially this year. So just work on your emotional intelligence skills. There's tons of resources out there, and I'm sure your professors, you know, could point you in the right direction as well.
That's awesome. So you guys answered, you answered the question so well. The intent of the question was to kind of showcase to the students that own the journey, and everyone's journey is different. And you kind of did that. And I'll share my little personal thing. I was an engineer by training before I switched to marketing. And I often use this example in class because, you know, I took a job that in India, that was kind of the two options, engineering or medicine. And then realized later on that they were not what I wanted to do. And so here I am teaching. And it's a journey, and they all helped me become who I am and become better at what I'm doing. The second thing I'm so glad all of you touched upon is that marketing is a one spot that allows you to combine creativity with critical thinking and analytical skills. And it's not one or the other, it's a combination of both that kind of makes you successful today. Now, talking about being successful, I want to kind of pivot to the next stage of their careers. Is like, you know, what do you see as the trends in the horizon, things that this group of students need to kind of prepare themselves for when they get into the workforce? Not just the emotional intelligence or the critical thinking, something else more concrete. How can they prepare themselves for a post-pandemic environment, which is going to be different from things that people have been prepared for? And I don't know who wants to, it's a lot of questions, I guess, combined into one. So I'm not sure who wants to kick it off. So any of the panelists?
The first thought I had is flexibility, because I don't think anyone knows what it's going to look like in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. I mean, wow. So I guess not to have like expectations that you can have, you know, goals, but not very set expectations. Be flexible with those, kind of like we talked about our journeys in that, you know, mine was even more detailed. I didn't go into it, but, you know, just be flexible and, you know, just use the skills, and where you're at, use them, you know, until the next step.
And I guess I can, Carl,
No, please, you go right ahead.
I'm just going to expand upon that. Mine is not really a soft skill per se, But one thing I noticed that is the trend, as you mentioned, and I'm not trying to promote this tool, but it's really knowing all your analytical tools, and it's Tableau. Like we use Tableau a lot. We use Salesforce a lot. So my point in mentioning that is that you need to know more than just Excel when it comes to analytical stuff, is really to know, like, do your own research and, talk to your professors to know, okay, what other tools can I know? Because I'm telling you, if you could put that on your resume, that even if it's a beginning stage that then you will go so far. Like our company, we're my agency, we like to see people knowing how to use Tableau. And like I said, it's a new analytical tool. You can look it up. It's a new thing right now. Like I said, Salesforce. So all those different tools are really helpful to know.
So Shante, I have to interrupt just quickly. Thanks for pitching my class. I do teach Tableau and I do teach other software as well. So accidental, this was not coordinated. But hey, all you students, please come take the analytics class.
Yes, take this class. It's a great tool.
Thank you. It was not planned.
So I was gonna echo Heidi's point about the importance of being flexible. And also because I have a 18-year-old, and actually I just noticed that one of our fellow 18-year-olds is on the line. Simon, are you out there? Like a family friend. But that it's super important to be flexible. And also, as you all are networking, I think a lot of you are going to say to yourselves, oh my gosh, I can't see people in person, so I'm not going to be able to network. And I would say that one thing that I've seen in this, with the pandemic, please let me know if you can't hear me, is that reaching out to people and making connections on LinkedIn is so important, and asking people that are, have more years of experience, and basically not hesitating to do that. I like to think of it as there are zillions and zillions of people out there that you could connect with. And if 5 or 10 of them don't give you the time of day, then there are zillions more. So as you're contemplating your next steps and you're doing some LinkedIn research, do not hesitate to reach out to people and say, I'm getting ready to graduate, and I ran across your profile, and I would love to learn a little bit more from you and your expertise. I do not, I'm not saying everybody write to me, but I do not see enough of that happening with young people. You kind of have to have the cojones to just reach out, because we can't go to networking events right now. But what I also see is that when I do one-on-one sessions with people, just half an hour quick intro calls, that the engagement that you have via screen, Zoom meetings or whatever they are, is actually better, because people aren't like looking over at the bar thinking, oh, I'm gonna go get a free drink before the happy hour ends, or being distracted about, I've got to go over and meet like 4 more people. So my 2 points are, get out there on LinkedIn, develop good messages to reach out that are authentic and that convey you, but start reaching out and developing your network. Make 3 or 4 warm contacts and ask them to introduce you to other people, and do as much informational interviewing as you can. People will take 15, 20-minute phone calls to do intros and allow you to ask them some questions. And just that initial contact, like let's say, for instance, somebody reaches and I talk to them, and then you have to make those contacts and remain top of mind and connect others as you're going along, because people love to be connected. Like, you may talk to Monica, and then you may connect me with Monica. People love to connect, especially in this day and age. So getting out there and networking virtually, I know it sounds awful, but it can be done, and in some cases, it's even better.
I want to just quickly jump in, Monica, before I can't say how important that is, right? The networking aspect of things. And I want to add my 1 cent to it is that don't just make that first connection and add them to your LinkedIn and go away. I kind of see that happen quite often is that maintain an intentionality of building relationships. You will never know at this age. I have had to go back to my connections made 20 years ago and say, hey, I'm trying to set up something new here. I need your help. And I could not have asked them if I did not maintain the relationship. So just my 2 cents. Monica, the floor is yours. Your thoughts?
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to stay on networking real quick, and then I'm going to jump to something else. I have almost 1,500 contacts on LinkedIn, or connections, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, I met these people, you know, whenever. I went through, I think last year to see, just looking through, I literally went through all my contacts to see where people were. I have contacts at Google, Facebook, Amazon. I mean, ginormous companies. They were not at those companies when I met them. You never know, you know, where someone's going to end up and how you might be able to help them or they might be able to help you in the future. Now, when we go back to trends, you know, one thing like in the marketing world that has been a trend coming and stay on top of it has been virtual reality and augmented reality, right? VR and AR have been talked about a lot for as long as I can remember. I mean, at least 5 or 6 years. And how many of you are actively using VR and AR to communicate or engage with a brand? Not many, right? So I think that's because those tools, those technologies don't allow the human-to-human connection. And we've been touching on that in this discussion, how important that human-to-human connection is, and that's not going to go anywhere. It's not a trend. You know, talking to each other, 15-minute phone calls, you know, quick messages on LinkedIn. And this isn't just with your network. This is going to be you in your future job in marketing, if that's where you end up or wherever, talking to your customers. Your customers might not be the end user outside buying your product. Your customer might be a vendor, but always remember that human to human interaction is never going to fade. It's never going to go anywhere. We're always going to need it. Humans need that. And, you know, this pandemic, and especially when we were locked down in the spring, made it so clear everyone was depressed. I was depressed. I miss hugging people. You know, this is a basic need of the human species, is to be connected to each other.
One more thing about LinkedIn before we get off of that. Thanks, Monica. Take the time, and it follows up with Monica on personal. Take the time to read the person's profile and really, you know, see if there's interest and see where there's a real connection, and make sure that when you send a connection request that it's very personal. Mm-hmm. Write something personal and heartfelt, you know, and if it isn't, then maybe not, right? So, I mean, make it real.
Can I add something to the whole networking? Because I think, you know, it's a very important piece. It doesn't matter if you're a college student, I still network, okay? So you're gonna network throughout your whole career. The main thing that I just want to stress too, and I know a lot of people mention it, be authentic. Do not just network. People can tell when we're being used just to, you know, get our name and stuff, and that's not genuine. Don't do that. And I'm not saying you have to take that person out to lunch or so, but be authentic with your networking, okay? Like he was saying, develop that relationship, because I'm not going to give your name to someone if I don't know you at all. Just because I have your card and name, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? I have to know you as, you know, or are you going to represent, if I give your name to someone, I have to make sure I'm representing your name correctly and that you are, you know, bringing what you say you can do. So that's just important. Be authentic and use your professor. Right now, you can use your professor as your start of a networking. So therefore, get to know your professors too. because it all starts in where you at right now.
Thank you for making a pitch for the professor, talking to the professors. Carla, the floor is yours.
I thought, in terms of the networking, totally agree that authenticity. One thing that I used to do when I first came to the greater DC area, I was pursuing opportunities in the international development realm. And one thing that I used to do is I would do research on the potential folks that I wanted to reach out to, if they had written a paper or a blog or something of that nature. And you can reach out to them and say, hi, I read this article that you wrote and it was fascinating. I would love to ask you a few more questions about it, you know, and be honest with where you're coming from in terms of, I'm getting ready to graduate, would love to ask you a few questions about that article that you wrote. People love to talk about themselves. So find the hook by reading their profiles. And then also, you may think that you don't have a lot to give, but long-term relationship building is by making deposits, because when you need your network, you want to make deposits as much as you can by retweeting people or re-sharing something that they seem to be looking for somebody for a role that you can't fill, sharing their updates, etc. So there are multiple ways that you can find to give to the people that you start adding to your network. But it's very worthwhile, because if you need it, they're there.
So thank you. So this is for the students, and we have 4 really successful panelists out here. So I want to see if the students have any questions that you want. It's not about me asking you guys questions. So are there any questions that are burning, top of the mind kind of issues relevant to the topic that the students in the audience would like to ask? And if not, I'll ask, which is probably not the right thing to do. So the floor is yours, guys. Just type in your questions in the chat and we can see the questions. I see that one of them have asked, how do we connect with professors? You know, office hours are good. Send an email. You know, if I'll talk as a professor, I will never say no to talking to a student. As long as you're flexible with my time schedule, I will make it happen. And in today's world, that just means it's going to be Zoom meetings. It used to be coffee and a physical, like, all of us have talked about this, face-to-face interaction. No, not as much, but there are ways to do it. And I, for one, I can only speak for myself, will take the time to do it. Okay, so we have, oh wow, we got a few questions now. Let's, is there any non-generic advice you would give to students joining the workforce after or during college? Non-generic advice. That comes from Dina.
So the first thing that popped in my head, I don't know if this, it's specific, so I guess that's non-generic, right? Something I'm dealing with right now with the client. So like I said, I do their marketing and write their case studies and their white papers, and my team does their design. And they want to get sales leads. And they want to do like LinkedIn advertising and follow-up. So I would think in combining with being flexible, that might be a foot in the door to an agency to start out helping them with business development. And, you know, and really knowing LinkedIn and how to manage the advertising on LinkedIn. And, you know, you have to really get to know that company. Like this one client of mine is managed services and artificial intelligence and, you know, that kind of stuff. So you'd have to really get to know them before you propose this and say that, hey, I'm willing to do some follow-up and some, you know, lead generation for you as I work into the marketing department. Or
Yes to grunt work, basically.
Yeah.
You know, what do you need help with? You know, here are my skills. Here's how I can help you. We've already talked about, you know, be proactive, read people's profiles, you know, be very intentional when you when you reach out. And this is definitely a way to do it. You know, how can I help you? I'm here to be of service of you. And I think that's how professors feel to their students. They're there in service of their students. It's how business owners feel. We are there in service to our clients. So how can you be of service to us, which then translates into being of service to clients or customers?
Any other comments? Because I can't keep up with the number of questions in here, and I've been trying to summarize the questions. So good job, audience, for the number of questions. I see three questions on the same trend. How do you advise people who are introverts to kind of network, since we seem to have touched upon the networking theme? So maybe we'll wrap that networking angle with that question. Eddie, I know I myself am an introvert, so I would love to hear the panel's thoughts on how do you overcome that shyness. I can obviously talk to all of you personally about that offline, but this is your time to share your insights, and I will learn. So the floor is yours.
So I can start with that. I think the main thing is start network with the people that you know. And that's what I did, you know, even in college, but also in my workplace. I didn't go to anybody that I didn't know. Basically, I went to people who I worked with before and just, you know, letting them know I'm interested in coming to their office and stuff like that. So start with people who you're familiar with, and that will kind of help with your networking, and you can build your networking skills that way. Emails, you know, just start with the emails, and that helps, because then that's the non-visual type. If you just don't want to see them face to face, but just writing and, you know, introducing yourself, that can kind of help open the door and kind of give you the introduction that you need. But yeah, I guess the main thing, start with the people that you know who are in the field that you would like to go into first, and that would help. That would go a long way.
I think that's great advice. I'm not the shyest stick in the stack, though, so I can't really comment very well on this, but I would say start with the people you know, and then develop sort of the get some practice, and then push out.
Okay. So there seems to be more questions on networking than I anticipated. So there's a question I want the panel to address with regards to technical skills, because that's emerged. But to round up this networking part, a few of them have asked about what are the appropriate networking etiquettes, right? Are there things that you would kind of touch upon that are important? I know my personal pet peeve, just to kick things off, is when it says hello, hi, and not even put my name in that email address. It kind of turns me off, and I will respond because that's my personality, but I do realize that, oh, the person is perhaps lacking in something, or perhaps needs to be told to at least put my name in there, right? So are there any things etiquette-wise that you would kind of tell them as they are cold calling individuals? Like, are there things that you would recommend keeping salient?
If you don't mind me jumping in,
Yes.
Spell my name right. My name's Monica with a K. Shantae, I bet your name gets spelled wrong all the time. Spell the name right, and don't immediately. Not that you guys are going to do this, but this happens a lot. I get cold pitched on LinkedIn. Someone reaches out to connect, and then immediately tries to sell me on their services. And we've been talking about, please reach out. We're here to help you, da, 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 da. We are. Just, if you've got a side gig, don't try to sell us, on your side hustle first, get to know us. Let's create that relationship. That's the biggest thing that drives me crazy. I can't tell you how many coffees I've gone to with people who were like, oh, I'd like to set up a one-on-one, and it turned into a sales pitch. There's a special place in like Karma Health for those people. I just want to put it out there.
I guess if you're calling, if for some reason it's a phone call, just always first ask if it's a good time before you even introduce yourself and say, I was wondering if you had a few minutes. Is this a good time? Give them that opportunity before you just, launch into whatever it is.
And I guess another thing too is when you first reach out to that person, email is good and to set up the call. If they have not responded yet, give it some time. But one thing I do not like, if I get like 5 emails, I'm like, okay, I will get to you. Like that can be very, to me, it shows desperation and stuff. So just be careful in how many times you email that person, because maybe that person is just busy, and just go to the next person. But the etiquette is more of just giving them space and emailing them first, and then try to set the, set the meeting like that. And yes, and I'm being honest, some networking will not work out. I'm being real. It will not work out. You're going to deal with rejection. But the thing is, don't give up. I just go to the next one. I believe things happen for a reason. I just go to the next one. Okay. And then eventually, one time I remember emailing someone right after college, and they probably took 6 months to get back to me and they apologized. So, like we all are working, we all have stuff that's going on, and it could just slip our mind. So just be patient, but just don't be a bugaboo. I guess what I'm trying to say is keep, harassing that person for them to respond back.
Okay, so the questions are mounting too fast for me to keep track, but I said I would ask this question about the technical skills, because that has emerged in multiple different ways. What are the required skills that people need to have? And I'm going to combine this with this idea that, there are a couple of questions with regards to graduates or students who are majoring in information systems and operations management. How can they find a home in this area of marketing and digital analytics? So what technical skills are needed to be successful today? And how do people with skills from a computer science background, how would they navigate this space?
I'm out on this one.
No, come on, Heidi.
I mean, I need those technical skills. I need people that are good at looking at Google Analytics. I look at that and my eyes just cross. And to be able to really dive down into Google Analytics, like for a company to be able to understand like search engine optimization and goals and conversions, and I mean that's huge for most businesses. And I just make the website look pretty, so I need someone to be able to do that.
And perhaps we could talk about that too, since we have two people who do deal with content in here. Is that there have been a couple of questions with regards to Adobe, Photoshop, and what kind of graphic skills are needed as well. So perhaps you can speak to whether that's a skill set that's.
Yeah, absolutely. For design, InDesign, Adobe, mostly InDesign and some Illustrator, and then for website, just really good WordPress and HTML and CSS. But
Any other technical skills from the rest of the panelists?
We do a lot of work for federal government agencies. So we deal with, we use Drupal. It's a particular strength of ours. It's an open source content management system, content management framework. It's kind of like WordPress to the 10th power.
right.
It's like a hammer when in some cases you just need, like a small a small tool, which WordPress handles very, very well.
My clients are B2B.
I would say in terms of Tableau, as Shantae mentioned, it is an excellent, I hear that is growing heavily, use of Tableau by many federal agencies, especially if you're interested in federal work. Many of these front-end frameworks that are being used to connect via API to back-end CMS repositories, et cetera. So we do communications, human-centered design, and technology. And when that person asked about how does a degree in MIS, we have people on our technology team with those skills, and we combine communications and technology to be of service to our federal government clients. So I don't necessarily know that that's a part of the overall offering at the technology component.
I agree. And another thing that I noticed, especially in the federal government, so if you're really going to pursue marketing analytics, not just marketing, but marketing analytics, one thing you're going to see, especially when you are applying to jobs, you're going to see marketing analytics / data analytics / data science. Now, those are, they can be separate very differently. Marketing is going to deal more with knowing about the Google Analytics and stuff like that. Well, data science, you can get right into the whole programming and stuff like that. So if you seriously about, and I'm just talking about marketing analytics, I would definitely say get some, I don't want to say programming knowledge, but at least understand programming. One thing that we had to do for part of my class, for part of my job, is learn R and Python. It's very interesting. I wish I had done it back when I was in college. So like I said, if you're really going to pursue that, I would at least take a class in that. I'm not saying to get a separate degree, but at least learn about programming, learn about statistics. That's very important. About modeling, forecasting, that goes a long way. Marketing is, marketing research expands to so much different stuff. But I think if you want to stay in marketing analytics, get to know outside of, School of Business and know about programming and, like I say, statistics and modeling and stuff like that. You will go a long way with that. Plus, as I mentioned, the tools, Tableau, Salesforce, all that will really help you and make you also have a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead, Monica, please.
Oh, yeah, 2 more hard skills that you could use. Google AdWords is a very specific niche. This is I do not touch Google AdWords with a 10-foot pole. If one of my clients wants to do Google AdWords, I send them to an expert. So that is definitely, it's a very, very marketable skill. And then the other one is search engine optimization. That's a whole, we haven't even talked about that yet today. Search engine optimization, I know enough to be dangerous, okay? But I'm not gonna say that I'm an expert in search engine optimization, but this is another niche. Again, it's not going anywhere. This is a highly marketable skill, especially if you have proven results. I want to tell a really quick SEO story. Once I was sitting in, I was brought into a meeting. This guy needed a new website, and I was with a web developer who was leading the meeting. And the web developer said to this man, who was an attorney, oh, so you're working with an SEO company? And the attorney said, yes, I've spent $30,000 in the last 6 months to boost my ranking on Google. His ranking had moved 1 spot up on Google in 6 months, spending $30,000. Obviously, this SEO company was like a major scam. Can you imagine charging someone $5,000 a month and you're not doing anything? So if you have proven results with search engine optimization, let me tell you, you are golden. SEO is such an important part of marketing.
It is, and I'd love to add on to that. I've worked with probably 10 SEO companies throughout my career and my company, and trying to find a good one to partner with for my clients. And a lot of them are scam artists. They really are, because there's so many clients that don't truly understand what SEO is capability and how it works versus paid ads. That's the two things. You've got search engine is organic, and then paid Google ads. So in contrast to what you just said, I finally found a partner that I love. And Alexa, be quiet. That virtual reality, right? That in the last, they've been working for about 4 or 5 months, and it's about $3,000 a month for my client. In 20 years, last month, they had their best month in sales ever. So it works, right? But it's an art. It really is.
Real
So-
quick, I wanted to jump in. I'm so sorry. If you guys on the line have heard of the website HubSpot, HUBSPOT. They have on HubSpot, they have a resources library that is excellent of white papers on zillions of different topics that marketers, analytics pros, digital analytics pros can benefit from. So check out HubSpot. They have a number of free and almost fun white papers, resources, videos, etc. But digging into, as these ladies have said, digging into an area and sort of specializing as you go out there, dig into SEO and become quite an expert at it. And so many resources are just available online to do just that. Google Analytics offers a free a free certification that you can get. Those things make you very marketable. Free certifications in marketing and analytics, get as many under your belt as you can, because it also just shows that you're proactive and inclined to learn. And that says so much on your resume. When we see your resume, we're like, wow, this person looks really proactive. But digging kind of down in one or two of these areas so that you can develop some hard skills in SEO, organic SEO, or paid SEO, or technical SEO. Very few technical SEO pros out there that I've run across, and we need them now and then.
And that's a great segue into, we could use these panels and answer questions for a long time, but we're running out of time. So it's a great segue to kind of get to that last question, right? Which is that how do you get yourself ready either for an internship or that first job in the career? And Carla, you kind of touched upon a thing that I preach to my students is to get those certifications. Get out there, you're showing you're proactive, you're showing expertise in an area much more than in addition to the courses that you're offering. But there have been a few questions with regards to how do you prepare for that first career job or that first internship. I hear someone saying that they've been afraid, scared because they're a corporation and you don't have experience beside working as a restaurant. First, Betty, that's a big experience. And you just talked about emotional intelligence and ability to interact with people. That's a skill set that you should be proud of. But how do these students prepare for this new workforce that, COVID has thrown a wrench in a lot of things. So what are the tips that you have? And if I might add, since we're running out of time, what is the one advice you would give to yourself if you were in their shoes that you now have based on your experiences, right? Like, hey, here's the one tip I wish my professors or my advisors gave me. So how do you prepare best for your career, the first job or the first internship? And what's that secret sauce that you have learned in your years of experience that you wish you knew a long time ago? I think, Carla, you raised your hand until I throw that last question in. So anyone?
I would just say that if you don't have experience and you're concerned that you don't have experience to show, contemplate reaching out to a nonprofit organization that you're passionate about and gaining some experience, writing some articles or helping them with their website or whatever. It doesn't have to be heavy experience, but if you're really concerned that you don't have something to show, contemplate reaching out to a nonprofit organization that you support, whether it's a dog-related cause or what have you. So many nonprofits could really use the help. You want to find something concrete to help them out on so that you can add some bullet points and even portfolio. And that would be another point that I would make is there are numerous ways to develop an online portfolio, and people in marketing, communications, and digital analytics, if you can develop a simple website using probably a low-cost site builder and continually improve it. That's what I would recommend.
I think.
Yeah, and once again, I agree with Carla. I think start off with just, if you don't have the experience in that field, and I tell this to, my mentees, my students, to my family members, then there's ways to get it without a full-time professional job. You can get it join an association and start doing marketing for them. You can do it at your place of worship, right? You can find so many different ways, volunteer ways to gain that experience, and you can still put that on your resume. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to just gain as much as you can. Another, prepare, is do all your research. Once you have that job, or so, read as much you can about not only the company, the position, where they're going. The best thing to know at most every company, I'm going to say, maybe some that do not have it, but is really to know their strategic plan. What does their future look like? Then that would help you to know, okay, how will my duties now align to where they're going, okay? And come up with some ideas, you all. Like, I don't want to say just, yes, you want to do the work that you're going to do. And I guess I'm saying this because in my job, we have performance review, right? And in order to get like the top one, you have to do beyond than what you're being asked to do, right? It's, you want to do beyond. So, you want to think of some ideas. That's what I say, you want to know the mission, you want to know where they're going. I have done it so many times to be like, you know what? I want to start a new project. Not only if I'm doing the projects that I'm working on, I'm trying to think of other projects that can help my company, my agency, and their goals. So just do as much research as you can. Learn. My advice is also lines up to it, is have confidence in yourself, you all. You all can do it. You all are smart. You're college students. You can do it. So have the confidence in your abilities. And don't give up. It's going to be rejections. I saw some comments on here about rejections. You're going to have rejections wherever you go. But the main thing is, do not give up. Keep applying. If you really want to be in the marketing field, keep applying. I'm telling you, I started off as a contracting specialist, okay? And I really wanted to get into marketing, and I just network. I just thank God that now I'm in, my marketing field, and I enjoy it, so just don't give up, have confidence, learn. I'm still learning, keep on learning. Do not stop. Once you have your degree, keep on learning, okay?
Before we leave, can I just have to address Betty. I waited tables like until I was 30 while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And it's the best thing I ever did, because the skills that you have are priceless from waiting tables, dealing with difficult people, problem solving, sales, learning. It's amazing. And what I did when I started my business is, because I had so many restaurant contacts in the DC area, I started doing marketing for restaurants. And the first couple, when I started, I volunteered it. I had a restaurant client that needed some PR, and I did it for free. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And I'd be happy to talk to you more if you contact me, Betty.
Well, I guess we're at the end of time. So thank you all for attending. We have over, I think, 100 odd people listening in. So this has been, I hope I learned a lot, and I hope everyone in the audience has learned a lot. I think, if I can only speak for myself, if any of you want to reach out to me with regards to career advice, I am always available. We'll just have to do it over Zoom. That's my preferred medium of communication these days. But do feel free to reach out. Thank you all for the panelists for taking time off your day. I've found it very invaluable. I appreciate it. And have a good rest of the week.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, ladies.
Nice to meet you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.